Okay, for years, you've probably heard the same thing I have. The sun's main job is to give us vitamin D. End of story. But what if that's not the whole story? What if it's a huge lie of omission? And what if the sun's most powerful, life-changing benefit has been hiding in plain sight this whole time? Let's get into the incredible science that shows why you really, really need to get outside more. And this all starts not in some fancy research lab, but in a hospital with this unbelievable, true story that just turns everything we thought we knew about sunlight and healing completely on its head. So picture this. You have a 15-year-old boy who's already battling blood cancer. And as if that wasn't enough, he develops this absolutely devastating flesh-eating fungal infection inside his lung. I mean, the doctors are just running out of all options, and his body is shutting down.
His immune system was just shot from all the chemotherapy. They'd thrown everything at this infection. The most powerful drugs, they even surgically removed his entire left lung. But it didn't work. The infection just spread to his other lung. So the medical team, they basically had to say, there's nothing more we can do. They recommended making him comfortable for the end.
And, even in that state, he was completely lucid. He knew exactly what was happening. And when they asked him what he wanted to do with the little time he had left, that was it. That was his only request. I want to go outside. So the hospital staff, they moved heaven and earth. They wheeled his bed, the breathing machine, the whole ICU setup, right outside into the open air. And this is where the story just gets absolutely wild. So day zero, he's outside. And remember, all the other medicines, all the other treatments stayed exactly the same. But within just 2 days, his oxygen needs plummeted. His white blood cell count, which is that key sign of infection, it starts dropping. By day 5, he's off the breathing machine completely. A few weeks later, they do a CT scan, and the infection is 60 to 70% gone. He eventually went home. The only thing that changed was he was outside. So how in the world is a recovery like that even possible? It sounds like a miracle. But it really flies in the face of the simple, almost watered-down story we've all been told about the sun. Well, it's because we've been focusing on the wrong thing. We're told sunlight's for vitamin D. Just take a pill, you're good. But that's a massive oversimplification. It's like listening to just the drum track of your favorite song and thinking you've heard the whole thing. The real melody, the most powerful part of sunlight, you can't get from a bottle. And to really get why this other part of sunlight, this infrared light, is so important, we have to zoom way, way in. We're talking about going down to the cellular level, to these little secret engines that are running your entire body. Yeah, you definitely remember mitochondria from high school biology, right? The powerhouse of the cell. But here's the bit they probably didn't teach you. As we get older, the energy that these little powerhouses kick out can drop by a staggering 70%. And that massive energy drop is now thought to be one of the root causes of so many chronic diseases we see today. So here's a great way to think about it. Your mitochondria are like a car's engine. They burn fuel to create energy. But just like a car engine, that process creates exhaust, a byproduct. In our cells, it's called oxidative stress, and it's like the engine overheating. This is where infrared light comes in. It acts like a coolant. It actually signals your cells to make their own melatonin. And no, I'm not talking about the sleep supplement. This is a special kind that cools down that oxidative stress and keeps your cellular engines from burning out. A vitamin D pill just can't do that. Okay, so once you have that concept in your head, that sunlight is a coolant for our cells, suddenly all this other evidence that's been hiding in plain sight just starts to click into place. Look at that number. Just let it sink in. 93%. That is how much of our lives the average American now spends indoors. We've basically become an indoor species, completely cut off from this essential, fundamental source of energy. And this idea, it starts to connect some weird dots. Remember during the COVID pandemic, all the talk about how high vitamin D levels meant better outcomes? Well, what if the vitamin D wasn't the hero? What if it was just a marker, a clue that those people were simply getting more sun and more of that crucial infrared light? It makes sense, especially when you see other studies showing that hospital patients in a bed near a window actually get discharged faster. Now, this is the study that just blows my mind. A massive Swedish study followed 30,000 women for 2 decades, and what they found was just unbelievable. When it came to your risk of dying from any cause, avoiding the sun was just as dangerous as being a smoker. Let me just say that again. Choosing to stay inside all the time carried the same mortality risk as smoking cigarettes. That's just wow. And you know it's a big deal when even the dermatologists are starting to say, whoa, wait a minute. Dr. Richard Weller, a dermatologist, looked at data from over 300,000 people in the UK. He found that more sun exposure actually led to lower death rates from non-skin cancers. And get this, it didn't cause a noticeable increase in melanoma. His conclusion? It is absolutely time for a complete rethink of our public health advice on sunlight. Okay, so the science is fascinating, it's compelling, but what do we actually do with this? How do you apply it to your own life? Well, the great news is it's shockingly simple, and it's totally free. The whole game plan here is to be strategic. You want to get as much of that good stuff, that healing infrared light, as you can while minimizing the risk from the bad stuff, the burning UV radiation. And it turns out the time of day you go out is everything. And look, this is not complicated. You don't need to go bake in the sun for hours. The goal is just about 15 minutes of direct sun every day. The sweet spot is in the morning or the late afternoon, when the sun is lower in the sky. That's when you get a better ratio, more infrared and less of that harsh UV. Try to get as much skin exposed as you can. And no, sitting by your office window doesn't count. Most modern glass is designed to block that infrared light to keep buildings cool. Oh, and a little pro tip. Being near green trees can actually give you an extra dose, because they reflect it. So, let's zoom all the way out. What is the big takeaway here? This is about a massive, fundamental shift in how we have to think about our connection to the world around us. We're suffering from a deficiency, but it's not one you normally think about. You know, centuries ago, sailors on long voyages would get scurvy. It was this horrible, deadly disease, all from a simple lack of vitamin C. Well, what if a lack of sunlight is the scurvy of our time? Our modern indoor lives are essentially starving our bodies of a basic, fundamental energy source. And all this evidence seems to point to one incredible idea, that maybe the most powerful health intervention on the planet doesn't come in a bottle, it's not a pill or an injection, it's just waiting for us, completely free, right outside the front door.